So you want to know how to forgive yourself and let go of your baggage. Probably because you realize that you're holding on to a lot of stuff that you want to let go of. I feel you. I'm going to help you out with that. Now, I just want to say that this video could get a little long. It's a very complex subject, and I'm going to give you every step that you need to make sure that you can heal. So if it is super long, I might have to make it into 2 videos, and if I do, then I will link that here. So if you're new here, hi, I'm Ty, and I love talking about ways that we can improve the quality of our lives and relationships and being a mama. If you're interested in creating a life that you're excited about, then hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to join the fam. Okay, let's get into it. So first, let's talk about why this matters. Why is it so important that we forgive ourselves and release our baggage? Well, here's the answer. Because they call it baggage for a reason. It weighs us down. We carry that load of anger and resentment and shame in our body, and that turns into stress and anxiety and doubt and even depression and physical pain. It causes our bodies to constantly be in a state of dis-ease, and when our bodies are exposed to this state of dis-ease for prolonged periods of times, we become ill. We start to feel it in our bodies, and we have headaches and back pains, and our shoulders hang low, and we have all this tension that we carry around, and we snap easily. It causes distress in our lives. Our self-esteem suffers. We start to not trust ourselves, and it makes it hard for you to go after what you want and truly connect with other people. You feel an emptiness inside. So it's definitely in your best interest to learn how to forgive yourself so that you don't carry that load around and you can start to live your best life. When we begin to forgive ourselves, we unload all of that weight. We become lighter, we breathe better, we're genuinely more happy. We have better relationships with others and with ourselves. Who doesn't want that? So now that we know why we need to forgive ourselves and how important it is, let's talk about how we're going to do that. So first, I'm going to give you an example of how to forgive yourself for the day-to-day things, and then I'm going to give you an example or exercise that'll help you out with the baggage that you've been carrying around for X amount of time. Forgiving yourself day-to-day for little things is a sure way to not add to that heavy load. It helps you to stop telling yourself these stories that begin to make you think certain things about your character. You'll see what I mean in this example. So the other day, I yelled at Jaya, and I felt like I treated her in a way that did not go along with the way that I want to be as a mother. I immediately felt like poo. I was so disappointed in myself, and I felt guilty. I was embarrassed, like, damn, Ty, you should know better than this. So that was a moment to reflect for me, like, wait a second. You're feeling bad and guilty about something. What's going on? And here's a tip. Whenever you feel bad or guilty about something and disappointed, it's a red flag for you to check what was going on and what happened. It means you violated yourself in some way, whether it was your principle or morals or rules that you broke yourself. So I started to have a conversation with myself. Like, okay, Ty, why did you do that? Why did you yell? Why were you on 10? And I'm like, I don't know. Why did I yell? Why was I on 10? What the hell was going on? And the response was, oh, okay, I had a stressful day. There were so many things going on. I had things going on with the company, things going on with school, things going on with Jaya. She wasn't taking a nap, and she was teething, and I was tired, and my back was hurting, and yada, yada, yada. All of these things started pouring out once I actually stopped to reflect what I was going through. And I didn't even know that they were affecting me. So even though I thought that I was handling these little stresses throughout the day, they were really just compounding. And I knew that I was feeling burnt out, but I pushed myself anyway. Has that ever happened to you? Yeah. It's not very fun. So through reflection, I realized that I was overwhelmed and just had way too much on my plate, which is nothing to be ashamed or embarrassed about or feel guilty about or disappointed in myself for. So that realization allowed me to forgive myself and have compassion and understanding. Like, oh, okay, you just took on too much, love. That was like the straw that broke the camel's back. You're not a douchebag, mommy. You're not a spaz. You're not crazy. And so no, I won't be telling myself those stories that I'm a bad mother or a bad person, and I won't be beating myself up. And that's what I meant about the stories that you can start to tell yourself if you're not careful and you don't stop it and redirect. So I want you to understand that we don't just do things to do them. Our behaviors are always driven by thoughts and emotions. So when you want to forgive yourself, you always have to start with the thoughts and emotions that you are having. So in this example, I took on too much and I did not respect my limit. And it reflected in how I responded to another stressful situation. My behavior reflected the emotions that I was feeling, which was stress and overwhelmed. So it made sense that I acted in a stressed out way that didn't reflect my best self. So like I mentioned earlier, now that lets me know that I need to set a boundary around that. Now I know that I need to cap my stress and say, okay, wait, I've had enough, I feel it. Everything needs to stop for me to reset, or else I'm gonna act in a way that I don't like. And being able to do that is forgiving yourself, but it's also emotional regulation and an act of self-love. Double whammy. Okay, so now I'm gonna give you a simple but very powerful exercise. And then, like always, I'm gonna give you a real life example of what that looks like. It is an emotional exercise, but everyone has told me that it's well worth it and that it's actually helped them to heal and get rid of their emotional baggage. So before I go into the exercise, there are two important things that I need to mention. One is that, like anything else on my channel, this is not a quick fix. There is no overnight magic pill here. You're going to have to work at this continuously for you to see results. And you're going to have to keep practicing, reflecting, and taking time to forgive yourself for those things as they come up, like we just spoke about in the example. And two, I'm sorry, but you are going to feel very uncomfortable and you might even cry. But that's a good thing because you're releasing all of this emotional baggage, and that's the point of this exercise. So remember, please, to be kind with yourself and patient with yourself. This is not about judging yourself. It's about learning yourself, understanding yourself, and healing yourself. That can't happen with judgment. You're gonna have realizations that might throw you off a little bit, like, wow. But it is those realizations that is going to allow you to come out of this a better person and to mend those pieces of yourself that are broken. And that's what happens when you forgive yourself and learn to release those emotions that you've been holding on to. Okay, so to do this exercise, you want to sit down somewhere comfortable where you can be undisturbed and uninterrupted for at least 30 minutes. You're going to need some paper, and on the paper, I want you to write down, what do I need to forgive myself for? And then you're going to say that out loud. My baby crying, I gotta go get her. Write down every single thing that comes to your mind. This is free flow. You are not judging yourself. And don't try to make sense of anything as it's coming. Just let it all flow and write it all down. Don't disregard anything. Your brain is very powerful, and trust me, it knows exactly what you just asked it. So if something comes up, it matters, even if it doesn't make sense to you. Because what's happening is you're creating space for all of the things that you buried to come to the surface. That's why this exercise is so powerful. So ask yourself this question as many times as you need to. This is the most important part. I suggest at least 5 times, and if you don't hear anything right away, be patient with yourself. Just sit in silence for a moment until some things start to flow out. Just keep asking yourself. Some of us have things buried pretty deep. Just be patient with yourself. So next, you want to do the same exact thing, but instead ask yourself, what am I ashamed of? Now remember, this is going to bring up very uncomfortable feelings because we're not even used to asking ourselves these types of questions. And we don't like to even admit that there are things that we're ashamed of. So this exercise is giving you space to unload all of that baggage and unpack all of those emotions that you've been burying inside. We don't get taught to forgive ourselves. We get taught how to forgive other people. So naturally, it's going to be a little bit difficult for you at first because we tend to think like, oh no, not me, I should have known better. And we don't want to be embarrassed or admit that we made a mistake or that we were hurt or disappointed. But it's okay because that's what we're working on now, and we're going to get through this together. So give yourself some time after each part to let whatever emotions come out sort of settle. Don't try to do this all in one sitting, especially this part that we're going to go to next. So the second part of this exercise is going back to each of the things on the list and talking to yourself as if you were talking to someone that you admired and respect and love, like a best friend, or my personal favorite, like a child. You would talk to them with compassion and love and a heart full of understanding. I call this the comfort talk, and it's very powerful. This is where you'll have those realizations and be able to better understand the feelings and emotions that drove you to those behaviors in the first place, making it easier for you to forgive them. So during this part, you literally want to speak as 2 different people. Speak as yourself and then reply as the person you're speaking to. So for example, you'd say something like, what the hell was I thinking? I can't believe I did that. Then you respond as the other person and say, hey, it's okay, love. You had a lot going on at that time, and so on, going back and forth. So you're literally having a healing conversation with yourself. This is necessary because 1, it allows you to hear the things that you need to hear from yourself. So you're literally learning how to comfort yourself. And just as a side note, if you start talking down to yourself while you're talking as this other person, then stop and adjust. Remember, this person is full of love to give you. They're full of understanding. You can do nothing wrong in their eyes. You're an angel. They would not be saying something mean to you or hurtful. So the second reason this is necessary is because speaking as a different person is going to allow you to detach from the situation. You're speaking to yourself as the part of you that has no judgment. It allows you to step away and look at things from the outside, so you begin to see things a little bit more clearly. So even though this may feel weird at first, just stick with it. I'm telling you, it's life-changing. It's literally like being your biggest cheerleader and mentor and your own best friend. It's very powerful. And as you do this more and more, you'll be able to just have that conversation with yourself anytime you need to. And it's really awesome. I speak to myself in this way every day to get me through judgment and comparing myself. And we're going to be talking about how to build your confidence and how to stop caring about what others think of you in the next few weeks. So stay tuned for that and make sure you have the notification bell turned on so you don't miss it. Got a lot of great content coming your way. Okay, so the last part of this exercise is not going to be done on paper. This is the part where I was saying is going to have to take continuous effort from you in practicing it daily. So now you want to start paying attention to how the feelings and realizations that came up through the comfort talk are actually affecting your life and happening in your life today. If you pay attention, you'll see that those emotions and beliefs keep manifesting themselves in so many different situations, and you'll start to see some patterns. Every time you see that you're triggered, it's your job to recognize it and then redirect it. So for example, let's say from the first part of the exercise, you realize that you need to forgive yourself for quitting college because you were getting bad grades and you were overwhelmed. So that made you feel like a failure, or like you have commitment issues, or you quit when the going gets tough. So then where in your life now are you still feeling like a failure, or like you can't commit, or like you quit when the going gets tough? Maybe it's in a relationship. Maybe it's in not being able to hold down a job. You get what I mean, Jelly Bean? So after you complete this exercise, you will begin to see that a lot of the things that affect you on a day-to-day basis in a negative way actually are associated to these things and this baggage that you've been carrying around without even realizing it. You're attached to these stories that affect your behavior and the decisions and choices that you make. So you'll have to remind yourself to keep releasing those things that don't serve you by doing this exercise and the comfort talk. So it's important to understand that these are wounds that you're dealing with, and you cannot just completely detached from something or someone that hurt you. What we're doing here is healing those wounds and patching them up with some good old-fashioned TLC. But there will be a scab there. In certain situations, and certain people are going to pick at that scab. So it's up to you to protect that old wound. It's like when people say, oh, you hit a nerve. It's always going to be something there that can trigger you and that can hurt. So be kind and patient with yourself and tend to your wounds as they come up. So now I'm going to show you exactly how I did this exercise when I needed to forgive myself for dating a jerk. I make it a point to be as transparent with you guys as possible, even when it's uncomfortable for me. Because if I could save one person from going through the pain and the lessons and the amount of time that it took me to learn some of these things, then I'm going to do that. And that's what this channel is all about. So this story is very detailed, and I don't want this video to be too long. This might be the part where I have to cut this video off and do another video. So if I did happen to take it off and put it onto another video, then make sure you click here to watch that video, because it's very, very helpful. But even if you don't, then I hope that this was enough for you to start to begin your healing. Because of how complex this topic is, I am going to allow emails with questions that you may have. I know you might not want to put them in the comment section because it might be private. So you can email me at ty@growourminds.com. So make sure you check out that video to really understand what that exercise is like with a relatable situation. I wish you the best for your healing. Until next time, be well.